We can now add the UN to the growing list of people complaining about the treatment of U.S. Army Private Bradley Manning. U.S. military officials blocked a UN official from meeting with Manning on Monday. Now, Manning, as we've told you, has been held in solitary confinement at a military prison in Quantico, Virginia, since last July. He's charged with leaking classified documents to the website WikiLeaks, including those thousands of State Department cables. Now, the UN's Juan Mendez said that he was deeply disappointed and frustrated that he wasn't allowed to have an unmonitored visit with Manning. And Mendez wanted to visit Manning to determine if his confinement at the military brig amounts to torture. It's something the UN is trying to investigate. Manning has reportedly been forced to stay in a cell in solitary confinement for 23 hours a day. He's asked every 5 minutes if he's okay, and he must answer, so that doesn't allow him to sleep. And most recent reports say that he's also been forced to strip naked. And don't forget, all of that is without being convicted of a crime. Now, after being denied the visit, the UN issued a reprimand to the U.S. government. But let's not forget that this is not the first time that access to Manning has been denied. Congressman Dennis Kucinich asked to see Manning and was denied. Amnesty International asked to see Manning, and they were denied. So if the military claims that this confinement is within their regulations, why are they so scared to let anybody see him? And this official reprimand does come directly in the wake of a controversy created by the U.S. State Department's annual Human Rights Report. The document attacked a number of countries around the world for human rights violations, including China and Pakistan, but it gave the U.S. a glowing report. Now, upset with that report, China fired back with their own, calling attention to America's border laptop searches. And perhaps more importantly, its attitude towards WikiLeaks, all while professing a fundamental belief in the freedom of the Internet. And no matter what you think about China pointing fingers on human rights, you know that they do have a point when it comes to this. Now, when asked about the UN reprimand by two reporters at a State Department briefing, the spokesman struggled to answer their questions.
Well, okay, so if you've been taught, what do you talk to him about? He says, I'd like to visit him, and I need to do it privately, and you say no.
I'm not going to talk about the substance of those conversations. I just say
Well, then I don't understand how you can say that you're being forthright about it if you refuse to talk about it. And if you don't talk about it, at least forget about what the actual conditions of his treatment are. But if you're not prepared to talk about your conversations with the special rapporteur, that's being even less than not being forthright, because you're not telling us what you told him.
But you understand the legal constraints that I'm operating under, because this is an ongoing legal process. He is being held.
So while the U.S. continues to point fingers, call out other countries for their human rights violations, we continue to violate a U.S. citizen's rights daily, treat him in a way that constitutes torture by our standards, by international standards. And when asked to prove the critics wrong, they deny any access to Manning. And when questioned about the violations, the State Department seems lost. It's really scary to think that these people are the ones that are looking out for our interests around the world.